Hi, my name is Pablo Requena, and I'm here with my student Javier, and we are in the middle of a guitar making course, and at this stage we're working on the Rosette. So what I wanted to do is, you can have a look around here, what I wanted to do was to explain a little bit what is the process, and even though I will not be able to go into very deep detail, if you have any questions afterwards you can always send me an email and I can explain in any other parts in a bit more detail. But basically what we've done is that we chose a design that we wanted to work on, and we have downloaded this off the internet, this picture, and along here basically we have a few components on this Rosette, and what we're going to look at is at the center section, and you can see that it's made of a pattern that it repeats itself again and again in the center section of this Rosette. This Rosette is about 20 millimeters in width. What we're talking about is this little square, which is about 5 by 5 millimeters. So what we need to do is to work out how can we produce this pattern. So over here in this page, what we've done is that we have worked out that this is the pattern that we need to make, and we have added a little bit of red because we thought it would look a bit more interesting. And you can see that we're working in squares, so we got each one of these squares represent a 0.5 of a millimeter square. And the reason why we work with 0.5 of a millimeters is because these are the veneers that we're using. You can see we've got a few colors here, green, black and red. We're also using whites, and you can find other colors as well, but basically this is how you buy this of many suppliers. And the thickness is already produced at 0.5 of a millimeter, so it's quite useful to work from that standard dimension. So what will happen is that, analyzing the pattern that we're working on, we can see that we've got different columns in this diagram that we have produced. So looking at it a bit closer, what we can see is that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 columns, but out of those 9 columns these 4 repeat themselves, so really we have to work only with 5. So how do we work with this? Basically each one of these columns is a combination of veneers, and what we do is that we cut off these big veneers. I got a few leftovers here, so we cut different veneers. I've done them 200 millimeters long by about 25 millimeters wide, and in here you can see I only got a few whites, a couple of blacks and so on. So basically this is what's left over from doing this one. And what we're going to do with these veneers is that we are going to cut as many veneers as we can work out in here that we need. In here we can see that for the first column we need 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 white veneers and 1 black. So we've got here 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 black, and then another 4 whites, 1, 2, 3 and 4. And this combination, I'm going to call it a sandwich, this will produce the first column that we got here, but also the last column. Once I glue them all together, this is what I get, and once they are all glued, you can see, if you look at it closely, you got them all nicely stuck together here. You got 4 whites, 1 black and 4 whites again. This one, if I cut 2 strips out of here, I will end up having this. This one is actually from block number 2, and you can see that you have 3 white veneers here, 1 black and 5 white veneers, which is actually the same that you got here. You got 5, 1 and 3. So how do we cut this? Well, it's actually really quite simple. On the bandsaw, all I've done is to set up the blade so that we can cut a very thin strip, and the strip needs to be slightly thicker than 0.5 of a millimeter, because I want to be able to thickness it quite accurately. And to do that, what I've done is to put 2 little bits of veneer stuck with a bit of tape into the bench. and then with a scraper I can use the two veneers as a spacer so that I can scrape the excess. You can see this is actually not cut anything, but now it's doing some cutting. You can see it's cutting the excess of the strip. So if I carry on working on it, I can do a little bit from one end and then a little bit from the other end, and doing this I will end up making this strip to be 0.5 of a millimeter thick. So what that means is that if I look at it from the end, each one of these squares here will be, hang on, let me just cut this end so that we can actually see a little bit better. There you are, that's been cut. So here you can see that each one of those squares that are appearing here, they are 0.5 of a millimeter. So when I have them, all of them thickness like that, I only have two of them left over here, I bring them together and I will have as many as these ones here, and what I'm going to show you is the block already glued together. So you can see these are only two of the ones that will be here, and if I put this next to our diagram, you can see that basically we've got, this is quite small obviously in compared to that, but you got all your columns together in the right order. And all I need to do with this now is to cut it in this cutting block that I've got here. So all I'm going to do is to bring it over there, and I'm going to cut it like if it was a long sausage in slices, and that's what we get. We get all these little tiles. Now it's a little bit more complicated than that, because when you look at this pattern here in the picture that we got, you can see that the initial design that we have has to repeat itself, but one goes in one side, the other one goes the other side, and as we alternate them we get the design that we want. So what we actually done is we have cut the length that we had, because the rod was this length, we've cut it in half, and one half we've cut it, well, before that actually I should explain that we had to put a little bit of a taper on the sides so that when we bring them together we have an arch, and that's why once we put the taper into it we had to cut one in one side and the other one in the other side, so that when we bring them together the taper match, how does this go, this one will go here. So we got both tapers in the right way, and then when we bring them together it will start forming the arch in the right direction. Now this is obviously just the basics. If you have any questions then send me an email and I'll try to explain them to you. But now we got the second part, which is basically to assemble all these tiles together with all these strips that we already got prepared. We've sort of looked at the design and we have prepared them here. We got two lots of them, because one will go to one side of the tile and the other one to the internal side, and then we will be fitting everything together into the slots that we have prepared already into the soundboard. So again, that's quite a long job to do, so to make sure that we don't make a video that is too long, I'm going to do that in a different video. But so far this is how it's going. The next thing will be to put it all together. I hope you enjoy it.